Welcome to Podkey Slopcast, where open models, closed rumors, and AI politics collide. A model can look cheap because it's open and still be brutally expensive to run. A security headline can sound apocalyptic and turn out to describe a controlled exercise, not a live breach. And a few executive comments or talent moves can reshape the whole story people tell about who's winning AI. The big claim around GLM 5.2 is that it feels like another market reset moment, the way people talked about DeepSeek R1 in 2025. The reason that comparison matters is simple. When an open-weight model gets close to frontier quality, it changes the conversation from who has the smartest lab to who can actually deploy, adapt, and own the stack. There is real evidence behind the excitement. In Design Arena, GLM 5.2 reportedly beat Fable 5 on website design, with cleaner templates and better use of common libraries like Chart.js and Tailwind CSS. Engineers, including Inamar Golan, also said it felt meaningfully close to frontier lab quality on real coding work. That does not mean every use case suddenly tilts to open weights. Benchmark wins and strong engineer impressions are useful, but they're narrow slices of performance. Near frontier is not the same thing as best in class across reasoning, latency, reliability, tool use, and safety behavior. And then there's the cost story, which is where a lot of the hype gets stress tested. Running GLM 5.2 efficiently reportedly takes around 8 H200s, which means roughly a $400,000 hardware buy or around $20,000 a month to rent. Users also report higher token output and about double the generation time versus Fable 5, so a model that looks liberating on licensing can still be punishing on inference. So the strongest version of the open model argument is not that GLM 5.2 is universally cheaper, it's that it expands the option set. If you're a company or a government that cares about fine-tuning cost optimization over time, data control, or avoiding vendor lock-in, open weights can be strategically valuable even when day one compute is painful. That matters for sovereign AI in particular. The appeal is not only performance, it's the ability to run specialized deployments, shape the system around local constraints, and avoid living entirely inside an OpenAI or Anthropic dependency. Whether that becomes a broad market shift depends less on one benchmark win and more on whether the ecosystem around these models matures fast enough. The sharpest example of AI headline inflation this week is the claim that Mythos broke into almost all NSA-classified systems within hours. Reporters and analysts later clarified that this was almost certainly exaggerated or badly interpreted. The most plausible explanation is a red team or controlled test on replica systems, likely with prior access to code or a setup designed to probe capability under favorable conditions. That's still important because it suggests rapid cyber performance in a test environment, but it is very different from an actual live compromise of NSA systems. That distinction matters because the public hears one thing while policymakers may be reacting to another. A controlled demo can reveal real capability trends without proving that current defenses in the wild are already obsolete. If you collapse those two ideas together, you get panic instead of analysis. There's a second argument attached to this story, whether restricting public access to advanced models meaningfully slows capability growth. Observers like Andrew Curran argue that embargoes don't do much because labs can keep training privately, reallocate resources, and in some cases even move faster internally. That argument is pretty well supported at the level of overall capability progress. Limiting access can change who gets to experiment and when, but it does not stop frontier labs from advancing behind closed doors. What it may still affect is diffusion, external scrutiny, and the speed at which the broader ecosystem learns to use those capabilities. So the clean takeaway is that secrecy can slow public adoption without necessarily slowing frontier development much. That creates a trade-off, less open misuse maybe, but also less transparency, less independent evaluation, and more room for ambiguous claims to dominate the narrative. On the political side, Trump's Axios comments about Anthropic were notable mainly for what they did not contain. He said the company had responded responsibly to US requests, said he would not shut it down or invoke the Defense Production Act, and framed it as a strategic asset in competition with China. That tells us something about the policy mood. The benefits of speed argument still seems to be carrying more weight than the slow down for safety argument. At least in this framing, national security concerns are being acknowledged, but not as a reason for extreme intervention. Around that, the rumor mill is overheating. There are hints about a new Mythos version. Talk that Claude Sonnet 5 is nearing release through a partner provider, and claims that GPT 5.6 showed up in Codex demos, including a one-shot playable Pokemon game. Some of those rumors may prove right, but they're still rumors. What they do tell us, even before confirmation, is how compressed the release cycle feels right now. The market is behaving as if another wave of high-performance models is imminent, and that expectation alone can shape hiring, product planning, and investor perception. The John Jumper moved from DeepMind to Anthropic lands as more than a personnel update because it fits an existing story about momentum. He is a Nobel laureate, and this was reportedly the second high-profile departure that triggered concern internally and externally. Insiders describe frustration at DeepMind over delayed flagship releases and a sense that the lab has ceded momentum to Anthropic and OpenAI. That does not automatically mean the research pipeline is broken. Big labs often look slow right before they ship something important. Still, talent flow matters because AI advantage is not just compute and data, it's where ambitious researchers think they can move fastest, get credit, and ship real systems. If enough people believe one lab has become bureaucratic or hesitant, that belief can become self-reinforcing. The most grounded story in this set might be the KPMG study of 1.4 million workplace AI interactions. Its finding is not magical at all. The highest impact users treat AI as a reasoning partner. They frame the problem, iterate, challenge outputs, and work in back-and-forth loops instead of firing off one prompt and hoping for a finished answer. That sounds obvious once you hear it, but it cuts against a lot of product marketing that implies the ideal AI experience is instant and complete. In practice, stronger results seem to come from collaboration habits, not just model quality. The encouraging part is that KPMG says these behaviors are teachable at scale. If that's right, then a lot of the productivity gap in AI use may come from workflow design and employee training rather than waiting for the next model release. The second-order effect is important. Firms that build better human AI habits could outperform firms with access to the same tools. That's the picture right now. Open models getting stronger, security claims needing translation, politics rewarding speed, and user skill still mattering more than people want to admit. Thanks for listening to Podkey Slopcast. This episode was generated by Podkey. Create your own at podkey.fm.